Hello and welcome to the Old Man Orange Podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Randy Dunigan.
And we get that magical, it's almost like every quarter now. It seems like they come out even more in this, but there's like this point, we make it out like every single time this happens, it's a big event, and maybe to us it is. I think to some other people, it's not as big of a deal. They're just like, yeah, whatever, fucking stupid cartoons, I don't care, you know. Stupid cartoon. It's like the best thing. It's the best movies that come out all year long, and there's like 3 to 4 of them every year. What is there to complain about? You're getting everything you ever wanted. No, I don't care. It's gonna have fucking Wolverine in it, so I don't give a fuck. Oh, one of those people that only likes Marvel, eh? I see how it is. I don't know what it is. It's just like you meet those Marvel-only people. They're like, yeah, DC's just not that cool. You know, I mean, Batman's okay, but...
I was one time at like a party, and I'm really one of those people. I try not to jump like immediately because I understand everyone has their own like opinions. Like, you know, superhero shit's not for me. It's like, okay, I get it. Actually, well, I don't get it, but all right, whatever. It's not your thing.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't get it.
But
like...
I don't get it, but I'm not gonna just be mad at you for not jumping into it at the same time I did or whatever. But it's like when it's almost kind of like you're in the same, you have similar interests, but they're slightly diverged this way or that way, you almost get a little bit of this like sense of betrayal. I don't know what it is. It's illogical and it shouldn't be there because like I saw like, because you know this is back in Sonora and I was at this party one time and there's this guy wearing this t-shirt of all these different X-Men characters. And I was just like, one of us. Because, you know, you don't see that a lot.
One of us. One of us. You start walking up to him. It's like, what are you doing? And that's how you could. That's almost like a test. Just start doing that towards somebody, and if they don't join back in, you know they're not one of us.
But no, so it was at a party, and I was just immediately kind of like, oh, you like comic books? Like, yeah, I like comic books. Like, I'm like, I know how it got very hostile very quickly, because it was an all X-Men shirt. He's all like, oh yeah, I mean, I'm a big DC guy. Like, oh dude, DC fucking sucks. It's like Batman can suck a fucking hairy nutsack just so quickly. Like, not even like, I don't even think it carried up to that. It happened so quickly. He's like, fucking Iceman's like the coolest character. Just like, fucking Iceman.
Bobby,
it's like, I mean,
don't get me wrong, it's a cool power. No, I'm not denying it, but he's never always been the best personality character. Let's just say that.
I mean, I never read like a whole lot of main X-Men with him in it, but I remember when he was in Ultimate X-Men for a little while, and then he was also he was part of Spider-Man. He was living with Spider-Man for a little while in Ultimate Spider-Man.
Because there's that comes from the old Spider-Man, that 70s show where it's like Spider-Man, Iceman, and the fiery chick that I can never remember her name.
Yeah,
I don't think she's an X-Men, but she's something else.
Yeah, and then she was also, but they had like Human Torch in place of her. So yeah, and it was kind of a little like fun little nod, and like also Kitty Pryde was hanging with them. So it was like this weird like almost board. It almost became for a little while Aunt May's house became like a weird little boarding school for like superhero children. Yeah. So it's as bad as it sounds. It was actually kind of that was a cool
section of Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah, right before they killed him off, you know. So anyway, so. And when they had Bobby, though, Bobby was like little, like chubby Fred Durst. He was little. Now that's why like the main Bobby.
Baseball cap on.
Kind of like not ridiculously fat, but kind of pudgy and short, and would wear like a basketball jersey 3 times too big for him. So keep in mind that's the Bobby I had in my mind. So I was just like, "Are you fucking shitting me?" Like it went sour, so it didn't like break out the fight. It's like, fuck you, man, fuck you. It's like, all right, whatever, man. All right.
It's not like you went downstairs and like, okay, first rule of Fight Club is you don't talk about DC and Marvel. Just one of those ones you like start pulling their shirts off, like, okay, we gotta sell this like fucking men, like it's 1990s.
It almost seemed like kind of like the go-to option is all like, well, it was my friend's friend, so I was just like, yeah, you have a drink with him. I'm gonna go over here, not breaking eye contact, walking away.
You're getting like a rag and you're like soaking it in vodka and you're stuffing it in like his gas tank.
Let's see you put this out, Iceman.
Well, it's just what I was like. It's funny because I was watching the X-Men Evolution. Like I watched the whole like series of that, and there's like Bobby's in that show. Like once you get to like season 2 or whatever, and he's literally like almost kind of like the douchiest character. There's like an episode where he's literally just stealing everybody's vehicle. Like at first he steals like Wolverine's, but like nobody knows who it is at first. Wolverine comes back and he's like, "What the fuck happened to my motorcycle?" Ah! And
This
then
is the Kids WB show. What the fuck is going on?
yeah, and then next it was like they take Scott's like hot rod, so it's all like it comes back, it's just like covered in mud and it's all dented up. And
How does that high schooler afford that like without having like a day job?
well, obviously, the professor, it's like, well, sometimes like this is the only thing, but
hot rod boy with lasers for eyes.
yeah, that sounds safe.
Clearly can't drive it no more.
Well, it's like sometimes the professor I feel has like a little too much money. I think they need to like sometimes back off. Like on the X-Men's like, okay, dude, like where the professor has like endless supply of cash. Like I don't know what he's invested in stocks, but like his dividend yield should be like humongous. I don't know. Like sometimes it's just like, okay, I can get like the mansion and he inherited and some of this stuff like this, but there comes a point where it's like, dude, where is he getting? It's not like he gets these kids that have like probably families that aren't going to pay for anything. Like, yeah, you take my fucking kid. I mean, like, what, do I get a check for this? Because I ain't paying you shit. Just because my kid's got magma powers, go fuck yourself. And it's just like, oh, okay. What I mean? It's not like he's like running Princeton or something. He's getting like, $100,000 a year from the parents.
Well, I'm just wondering, like I always wondered, like, because it's a gifted school, but do they charge? Is it one of those things like, well, you see, Kitty, you are one of our best students, but your parents haven't paid us, so get the fuck out. What? You don't need a key. You can just walk right through the door. Just walk right through the wall. Doesn't matter.
Don't
use those shadow cat powers.
Yeah. Don't phase through and slam the door behind you, and hopefully it'll hit your way on the way out. But money is important. Well, what about Nightcrawler? Yeah, that's a touchy subject right there. His mother's working for the Brotherhood. Yeah, he's blue. There's a racial thing there. I feel like I just don't want to say it. Can't be tossing the blue boy out on the street.
I just realized Blue Lives Matter was the cop thing. Never mind.
He's like, well, because in the weird thing about X-Men, there's a lot of blue people there. You know what I mean? It sounds kind of weird, but like whenever somebody's a color in X-Men, they're always blue. You know what I mean? Apocalypse is kind of blue. Beast is blue. Nightcrawler's blue. Mystique's blue. So there's almost this like racism thing in X-Men if you said something like, "Oh, get your blue fucking ass out of here."
Well, I was thinking like Beast's like, what do you mean by that? Well, not you, Beast. You're all right. You're all right. I mean the other blue man.
But going to like Bobby in that one, there's like, and then at the very end, he's like, "Yeah, man, we're gonna take the Blackbird for a joyride." And it's like the weirdest lineup. It's like Bobby, Jubilee, and what the heck's that guy's like Cannonball, and then they drag along some poor schmuck. Oh no, I think what happens is I think Nightcrawler and Kitty go to try to stop them. So then they're like stuck along for the ride, but he's like literally just like, yeah, it's just like every night they're like, yeah, we're gonna go like fucking, we took out Scott's car, we took out the motorcycle. I don't know how 4 people fit on the motorcycle because they didn't show it, so I'm kind of confused there. We took out like the X like Humvee thing, or it's like a van, and then next it's like, okay, we're gonna take out the Blackbird. So it's just like Bobby's just this really horrible student in a sense. I mean, in the long run it works out, but
they make out to be the goody two shoes in the movies, but I don't know how accurate that is.
Yeah, well, I think like in the original kind of stuff, his personality kind of changed. It's like nobody's really too sure on what he should be. They got it kind of down. Like he's got ice powers. His name's Bobby. You go figure it out from there.
Yeah. Well, my thing is like regarding where's it going with this? Regarding Bobby, it's kind of like I feel like nearly every, because he was always seemed like a goody two shoes from the thing I saw, and then you got like in like Ultimate Spider-Man, he just seemed confused, like he was having an identity crisis. Like maybe I should wear this jersey that's 3 times too big for me. Maybe that'd be my identifying feature aside from ice hands. But then I feel like maybe like came out like he was one of the originals. He came out like in the 60s.
Yeah, he's the first 5 like day 1 issue.
That's like I think that's at a time when like just about every superhero that came out was be a good old-fashioned American and just follow the law, I think he kind of comes from that, so there might be some kind of hangover on that a little bit, but every so often they'll try and change that up a bit.
Yeah. Sometimes I always make him kind of like the wild card, because there's the one like the old X-Men in the 90s show where there's like it's like the one episode I think it has Iceman in it, which is kind of weird. It's like you're like one of those ones like, that's it? You're going to have Iceman in there once? I mean, he might be in there 2 episodes, but that's like the maximum. Out of like 70-something episodes, that's all you have Iceman in. He's like, yeah, I'm not going back to the X-Men. Fuck those guys. they won't let me keep my girlfriend around, and I don't know if that was the case, but he had a girlfriend in the episode. I can't remember exactly what the story was, but something about it, like he wasn't going back.
I remember one of my things about was my brother had the X-Men game for Genesis, and that made
Which one,
Nightcrawler.
first or second?
I think it was the first one because it was one you play as Nightcrawler. You could just like zip zap all over the whole screen.
Mm-hmm. You can play as Nightcrawler technically in both of them, but yeah.
Well, I think it was the first one. But
yeah,
anyway,
that one you could like literally go like ridiculous distances with Nightcrawler.
And that made Nightcrawler my favorite character. And then when I watched the show, I would never see him on there, but they'd be on there in like one or two random episodes, and just like, oh shit, this is the one with Nightcrawler in it, and like there's like the episode. It's like I'm not sure what it was. Maybe there was like some kind of like social mandate they had to do, but like I remember Batman the Animated Series had this. Tiny Toons had something similar, and then X-Men had this too. And if you look long enough, you probably find another show. I remember there was an episode where they introduced Nightcrawler, and it's like he was living up in like up in
Bell
like
Tower.
Bell Tower up in like this church, and everybody's like he's one. They didn't never really say it entirely, but they lean heavily on God shit in this episode, and he's all like basically he's one of us. He doesn't see blue skin or white skin. He's just one of us. And there's the one guy. One guy's like he's a demon. I don't like him. He's a demon or whatever, and he kind of sells out Nightcrawler. And then like the whole like he almost sets the church on fire. Then the guys are like Nightcrawler's like, you may have sold me out, but this is what your future is right here. And he gestures to the fire. He just sees fire. He's like, no, hell, or whatever.
Yeah.
He's, I'm sorry. Oh, it's okay. God forgives, all this good shit, whatever.
It's like, God forgets, now suck my blue cock.
Suck it! For only God to see!
Tell me I'm your priest. Tell me I'm your priest. Like, oh God, Jesus.
We'll be right back with X-Men on Fox Kids.
Brought to you by Nerf.
and then I remember that I think the three people in that episode were like Logan, Grogue, and I think Gambit, and they're like on a skiing trip. That's how they stumbled upon.
Oh yeah. That's they go like skiing.
And they fight off. I think it's either like a town mob or the Brotherhood, one or the other. And Logan the whole time's like, I don't like this God stuff. He ain't done no favors for me. And the whole time, Nightcrawler's like, hey man, God's cool. Just be chill with him, And later they're like back in town or whatever, and Rogue walks by church and Logan's in there praying. It's like, see kids, pray. Do what Wolverine does.
Yeah, they would try to work that in there. Well, just like you remember in the 90s, there was that Bible show. It was like called like it came on like in between two other shows. So as a kid, you just kind of watch it because you knew you were coming up on whatever other show you want. And it was, I don't know what it is. There's something about, maybe it's just old TV style. It's like you didn't just turn the show off just because you didn't like it. You just continuously watched because you knew that
like,
the show.
Let's plow through this. It was like this will have my tolerance.
Yeah, exactly. But there was the Bible one, and I remember they actually had. I don't know if it was either at Burger King or Taco Bell or something like that. They actually had the toys for it, which that to me seems ballsy.
Wait, the VeggieTales one?
No, not VeggieTales. That was like way later. There was one. It was it was in the 90s because VeggieTales. I
didn't even know VeggieTales was a Bible thing until later in life.
Yeah, and I think VeggieTales is like more like 2000s. Because I remember when that show came out, that was like, oh, that was like the anime time period. So it's like, clearly I wasn't going to be one watching VeggieTales anyways, because the show, because of its name, I would have been a 12-year-old being like, it's fucking gay.
Well, now, what was this Bible show? Maybe I've seen it, but what was this Bible show? Was it like a bunch of, was it just like animated Bible stories, or what was it exactly?
It was animated Bible stories. God, I don't even remember what the name of it was.
And did they look kind of like, almost kind of anime-ish? Maybe they're not really anime.
No, because anime wouldn't have, anime, like, at the most was Speed Racer and maybe Sailor Moon at this point. We haven't even
like old anime. I'm thinking like old anime, just like, and it's almost like American script made by Japanese.
No, because this is still the time period where anime was such like a rare commodity that nobody even copied it yet. So, because this would have been like 90s. Like, I don't think I even had satellite TV yet. I'm
literally thinking one of those weird, like, obscure kind of like, technically, I think David Razzie maybe told us this, but technically that kind of, whatchamacallit, Ghostbusters, real Ghostbusters, is technically an anime because that's a Japanese animated show. And if you look at it, it has that kind of like anime kind of vibe. Just their lips sync up actually. So did it
Well,
have
by
that
that
kind of look?
standard, technically Batman the Animated Series is as well
I
because
know. If you look, but I mean, even the look, even the way it looks kind of anime-ish in that show. Sort of the way it moves a little bit, but I don't know. I'm
and so is
splitting
Scooby Doo because I think it's been a long time since like Americans sit down and animate unless it's maybe a movie.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so it's one of those ones more just like they come up with the ideas like here's a script, here's a layout, here's a storyboard. You go fucking figure it out, you Koreans. We know what we took you over in the 50s for this reason alone, so we could have you do the animations. Americans are getting sick and tired of fucking in between and
No, like I'm trying to remember. I know this particular look I'm thinking of, but I'm having trouble narrowing it down. But yeah, whatever. Okay, so this show was like basically just told Bible stories.
it was like Bible stories, and by the standard that I was watching on antenna, which now it leaves it off at like the only channels it could have been was Fox, NBC, ABC, or CBS, and I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you what the heck a CBS. No, because I think CBS is the channel that had things like the cows that were cowboys, and I think
Fucking show.
and I think it had all like the odd like almost like knockoff shows. Like I almost want to say CBS is where you would watch Street Sharks on. Or was that
I want to
Fox?
say it was USA. That was USA, unless reruns
Well,
are
I
on.
wouldn't have had USA at this time period because
Maybe it started on CBS.
this is the easiest way for me to sum things up. Because when you have an antenna, you only have 4 stations, maybe 5. If you got, and then you got maybe the UHF ones. You get find weird random ass programs, but so God, yeah. But it was like a Bible show, and it was like clearly like as a kid, I knew it was a Bible show. I was like, oh, there's something wrong with this. Like I should
I
fear
feel a
this.
little hot while I watch this. Oh.
And I remember one time I was like, it must have been like maybe like I'm gonna say Burger King or something like that. They literally had toys there. Like I had like once it was like something like like a fold out like mini Bible that had probably I don't know if it was like that, but it was literally like probably some plastic toy Bible where it's like we're on an adventure. I don't know, but
Or like like just like like it's just like one of those things like you have like a little like plastic miniature of a cave with a boulder in front of it. They're just like Jesus like use your Jesus powers to push the boulder away. Just like a little like animatronic Jesus pushes the boulder out
yeah,
like a
push the
missile.
boulder. It's like on like a little string. No, like so like you pull like a string back on Jesus and he pushes it forward and the boulder rolls out and then it rolls back in. Like one of those type of toys. But yeah, I can't remember what it was, but it was some Bible show and it came on in between. Yeah, something I wanted to watch and something else I wanted to watch, And I don't think it was on Fox. I don't think it was on too big of a network, but it was, it might have been on something like ABC. ABC always seems like
ABC had that kind of bullshit. I remember they did. I remember before Sonic the Hedgehog, they had some kind of like Bible show, like, come on, kids, let's get it ready for the year. Like ABC Family.
well, ABC
Before
Family,
Mario
that's
or
when
before
Disney
Sonic.
bought them.
And they would
Maybe it's just a family shit. I don't know. This isn't fucking that. Anyway, yeah, but they have a lot of this bad, very bad fucking Bible show shit. And a lot of it would be that kind of shit with a preacher talking over an audience, like, just donate us all your fucking money, and I'm gonna read a passage today, and come on up, that type of stuff. Now here's the Mario Brothers from Japan.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that wasn't even the Japan ones. Those are all the ones that were animated in the U.S.
Them, it was all the same thing. It was all that devil shit that came from
Yeah.
overseas.
Came from overseas. Like, that's why we dropped an A-bomb on them. Let me tell you what. Now donate to Jesus. He needs your money. Jesus is building another A-bomb as we speak.
Well, they did have a couple of they did have like a couple like, hey kids, let's be socially conscious episodes. Like remember there was an episode. This one's not that bad, but there was like it was kind of pushing your face. There's even the episode of Batman. There's like, hey kids, God is good, drugs bad. Where it was like these two brothers. One was like a made mobster. The other was a priest. And Batman, it was almost more about the mobster than it was Batman. Batman was going after the mobster. And then he comes in like one day, his kid's all like in the hospital hallucinating, like, yeah, yeah. He's like, who did this to him? Who did this to him? Like Vinny, it was your drugs. and then like he later confronts his brother confronts him like how you do like you find out his brother got like hit by a train and lost his legs when they were kids and all that, and even their kids, it's like that very stiff dialogue, kind of like, one day I'm gonna own this town, look at this candy I stole, oh you shouldn't steal candy, shut the fuck up Billy, oh no, a train. And then Batman comes in later in the episode and helps the guy out somehow, and so it's very much one of those kind of like, hey kids, don't steal candy and don't do drugs.
Yeah, one of those ones. Yeah, they
And
always
read a
sort
fucking
of.
Bible.
It was something. It was that weird kind of like post '80s. It was still slightly okay to
Slight
put.
Reaganism.
Yes, yeah, that like yeah, Reaganism's left over. That Bible thumping, like it was there because like nowadays you could not do that whatsoever unless
I could
I mean
not
you could
imagine-
do like a full Christian show if you want, but you couldn't like implement that into like X-Men or Batman or something like that. And I mean you can't have like Nightcrawler, but even like in X-Men Evolution. There might be like one or two moments maybe in that show where Nightcrawler happens to be like that, but other than that, though, he's really almost like the Beast Boy of the show, but not as annoying and as gay.
Well, my thing is like, they're trying to like, I don't know, Beast Boy. He seemed a little less because that was the thing. Because you think he actually is gay, he's just in denial, right? You know,
No,
you think
he is
realize it.
full on gay. Even okay, because we're coming into the new Teen Titans movie, the Judas
Oh,
contract.
just let me say this. Just let me say this part real quick. I want to say, regarding that whole like Bible shit they're throwing at you, because even I think Tiny Toots had an episode or two. I could see that not being like Bruce Timm, Alan Burnett, or Paul Dini's idea. I could see that being like a network thing, like
Yeah, like
someone leaning
Fox
over
is like, no, you got to get one Christian episode in there.
because like look at what most of those same guys that are now still doing these animated universe movies. I don't see a single solitary ounce of that shit in there. So I feel like that's probably just some shit the network was leaning over. I'm like, all right, we'll do the fucking Bible episode, but a kid's got to lose his fucking legs.
Yeah, exactly.
There actually has to be stakes.
Yeah, exactly. One of those.
Another kid almost ODs. You fucking hear me? All right, Bruce. All right. Yeah, that's what I fucking thought.
Yeah, we'll put that in there, but there's going to be, challenges that you're going to have to deal with.
Because that was the thing about the Batman one. The Batman one, even though it was a little preachy, they at least presented like heavy-handed shit, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So it made up for it. But we get into like Teen Titans, the Judas contract. That's what it's all about here. It took us 22 minutes to get to it, but that's okay because
Really?
These are the most important things that come out. I still think that, at the end of the day, I look more forward to all these DCU movies than almost anything else that comes out. So, this one right here, just as always, another amazing fucking film. They never seem to really like lead you any wrong path.
I think this one is because I'll be honest, I was never really that big of a Teen Titans fan, even when the cartoon was on. Not that I disliked Teen Titans. I even bought like a couple Teen Titans graphic novels. I bought like the one that came out in the 80s, which is, when Trigun tried to take over the world.
Hold on a second. And go.
I saw the one where Trigun tries to take over the world, and they're in Raven's dreams and all that stuff. And then I got some of the stuff when Jeff Johns came in and tried to, modernize it. And I like stuff that came out like in the early 2000s. And I got like 2 or 3 volumes of it. And, I liked what I read, but I wasn't hooked into it. There's just something about it. I like I like certain characters. I liked Cyborg. I liked Tim Drake as Robin. And I appreciate the team. I just couldn't get hooked into the series. So, I never was really into the show. So when they said Teen Titans versus Justice League, I'm like, well, Justice League is there, so that'll make it cool. And
well, I think with Teen Titans, real quick, the thing is unless if you read it when you were 12 years old, I think that would be what would be different. I think that's kind of who it's appealing to. Once you kind of read it when you're kind of a little bit older, it's one of those ones where it's like, especially once you're past about 20, it's not that you can't watch something that has the Teen Titans in it, because I think it's got a bunch of really cool characters. But it is one of those ones, it's the teen, like, melodrama. I think that's where it kind of loses me at.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck about your teenage problems.
Exactly. Like, Batman doesn't have problems. You know why? Because he's a full-fledged adult.
Well, it's like, then like the Teen Titans versus Justice League came out, and then I was like, oh, Justice League is there to bounce it out, even though it's more of a Teen Titans movie. And I didn't feel like they leaned too hard and all the teen shit in that.
Mm-hmm.
So then, and for whatever reason, Young Justice had a little bit of it, but it didn't have too much of it. Young Justice, I still feel like, had a good balance between everything. And then this one was coming out. I'm like, well, you know what? I'm going to get it just because it's the next DC Universe movie. And chances are it'll be good. But it actually surprised me at how good it was. I mean, I knew I would probably walk away enjoying it, but I liked it more than some of the Justice League movies. And how it wasn't afraid to actually get darker and actually feel like more adult than other Teen Titans shit.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I kind of knew, like, I think it's one of those ones that's weird to some people probably think that like, oh, it's a Teen Titans movie. It's going to be just like, the cartoon shows. And it's like,
I knew it was going to be that. I knew it was
yeah,
gonna be
it's
that,
like,
but
I
thought
knew
it
it'd be in that same, like, the DCU style. So, you're getting something really good out of it. And plus, they got Nightwing as, like, the head of the cover on there. So it's like, that's the safe choice right there. You got him leading there. And I like the balance that they can have. It's like Nightwing and Starfire are kind of the older ones. And then, for some reason, I don't know what it is, because they have this, like, 5 years before segment at the beginning, and it's still got Beast Boy in it. And it's like, 5 years later, Beast Boy's still, like, never grew up?
I'm wondering if there's something about because he has a disease. That's how he transforms into different beasts. I'm wondering if it's something like it slows down his aging. Because that was something I was kind of wondering, too.
Yeah, because that was like the only thing. Because everybody else in there, it's like, okay, you had Speedy in the beginning, so it's like, okay, so he's off doing his own thing. You had the hell else was in the beginning? You had you had her, and then you had
Kid Flash. Yeah,
Kid Flash. That's right. Yeah.
I think that had to be Wally.
Yeah, you had Wally in there, so you had all these characters. So it's like, okay, those ones kind of grew up and did their own thing like that. But then it's like Beast Boy's just like that, or he just never got promoted. He's always just been at like the lowest level of the Teen Titans. It's like, Raven's like one of the newest characters. Well, guess what? Raven's way higher than you. She's actually in charge of you.
Well, it's like
she gets your room too. What? No, yeah, you got to go back down to like the boiler room. That's your new room.
Look, just turn into a fucking rat, crawl into a corner. It'll be spacious enough.
Yeah. Don't I get a light in here? No. Just slams the door on it, so it'll just pitch black. Except for this like slight boiler room. Here's
or these give like a cardboard box.
Nothing ever happened wrong with a boiler.
No, that whole. But I'll say this, man. I knew it was gonna be more adult than the previous kid stuff. But I mean, how dark it got actually did surprise me a little bit, because I thought that, well, because Teen Titans is the name, so I assumed it would probably be pumping the brakes a little bit. But I had no problem actually getting a little darker, and actually they started swearing a lot more in this movie. I have no problem with that. But they said, I remember before I was just like, okay, we got one. Here it is. Shit. Now it's like they're dropping that. They're like, they don't say fuck, but they're coming close to it,
Exactly. I feel it's not going to be that far away, because we had 2 rated R ones technically so far, so all it's going to take at one point, we're just going to get where somebody can say it.
I like that part, and I like that they made a movie with Damian, and Damian wasn't the main character. Yeah, I almost assumed he would be the main character of this, but it was more of it was actually 2 different people. It was more Beast Boy's movie and then Nightwing's movie. And
that was kind of like the mix. I actually thought it was going to be more Blue Beetles, because for some reason he was the action figure that came with the DVD or the Blu-ray. And I was like, well, that's kind of cool. Who has a Blue Beetle fucking action figure? I'll get that. And then it's like, I kind of expect him to be more the main character, but maybe they just thought, they're like, well, we can't make nobody wants a Beast Boy action figure.
Like they're just like the Blue Beetle. Like, but I thought I was going to be like, next time, Blue, next time.
Maybe.
Yeah. I actually liked his whole story, because his whole thing is like the reason why he's away from home is because the bug, he's still having trouble controlling it, and it doesn't like his dad, so he has to almost Skype to his family because he can't get too close to him without the bug going crazy. And
see what I like about that?
Like, and the dad's even kind of being kind of like, "You're my kid. Why can't you control the fucking bug? What's wrong with you?"
What I like about that is, like, it sets it up that, like, it's almost like his father's like, no, you and that fucking Beast Boy have this gay relationship going on. I fucking knew it. I caught you. And there's, like, even, like, moments, like, it's almost set up like somebody had that idea in mind. Like, because there's a part, like, towards the end where they find, like, the dad's finally like, it's okay, son, I'm here. And they give him a hug. And then it literally just cuts to, like, Beast Boy stand in the corner with, like, his arms crossed, leaning against the wall with this, like, really gay look on him. Like, see,
yeah, she's coming home for Christmas.
Yeah, Beast Boy. And it's just one of those ones, like, they try to put this story in there where it's like, oh, Beast Boy, he likes Terra. It's like, bull fucking shit. He just doesn't want
it. He's always had a crush on either Terra or Raven.
It's just one of those ones like, no, he just says that because he's just afraid to come out of the closet. We all fucking know. He's one of those shameful, like, gays.
If Beast Boy actually did come out, would you actually like him more? Just accept who you are.
No, I wouldn't like him more. I don't. The weird thing about Beast Boy, he's a character. He has really cool powers. It's just he's so kind of like obnoxious and gay. Like, not like it's like, oh, he's gay, that's why I don't like. But no, like the kind of like the obnoxious kind of gay. Like, it's just like sometimes, and like every incarnation, he's always like that. It's just like, they always write him so gay and kind of obnoxious. So it's always weird when they try to like make him not gay. It's like, what are you guys trying to do? Like, you clearly have this character that already is. It's like, to just come on, just say it. Let's just get it over with. Batwoman came out already. We can have Beast Boy come out.
He's the next one down the list. Like we got Scott. What was his name? Scott Lang? Not Scott Lang. We got the very first Green Lantern. Yeah, the first.
I thought it was Kyle Rayner that was the gay one.
Maybe he's gay too, but
maybe it's him and Scott. It's like this weird like old man young boy relationship.
Yeah. he's got yellow fever. Yeah. Isn't Kyle Rayner? He's Asian, right?
No, he's not.
He's not Asian. Wasn't there an Asian Green Lantern?
I don't know. He looks like everybody else in DC. He just has like dark, like that confusing, like, because that's how a lot of DC characters are drawn. They all have like pitch black hair and sort of fair skin, so they're not really white, but they're not really dark. You don't really know what half those characters are. It's kind of like I sometimes I look at Dick Grayson, I'm like, he must be like Greek or something. Like at the end of the day, I think that must be what he is. He's some type of like gypsy because he's not really white.
I think it's one of those things like they created those characters like from a very like
with like
cookie cutter
colors.
Well, with a cookie cutter mold from back in that day, but they don't really want to change it now. Like you can change their outfit, you can change that. You can't change they have black hair and blue eyes because that's like exactly the same description you give. Like actually, I think Bruce Wayne's green eyes, maybe it's blue eyes, but like Superman blue eyes, Wonder Woman blue eyes, black.
Yeah, Batman has blue eyes. Sometimes they make Nightwing's eyes change. Sometimes he has blue eyes. Sometimes he has brown. Like in this cartoon, he has brown eyes, which gives me more of an indication that he's probably like Southern European descent. Like, and I feel like almost like, okay, if he's part of a circus, like we can say he's almost like maybe some type of gypsy tribe from like Turkey or, I say Greece, like Tommy Lee or something like that.
History Channel special of like Nightwing's.
Yeah, where he comes from.
I have a graphic of the map zooming in of like, well, look at his ancient ancestry.
Well, the weird thing is they never ever go into that, and like I notice in all those, X-Men does that. That's kind of like X-Men kind of like proudly wears that on like the cover, like where everybody comes from. I mean, that's like you get that first issue of like that giant size X-Men, not the first one, but when the X-Men had its comeback in like 1976, and it's like we're all worldly because it just shows like we got Storm, she's from Africa, we got Wolverine, he's from Canada, we got Colossus, he's from Russia, Nightcrawler, he's from Germany, and so on. They had this huge list of like, yeah, we got world. But like in the DC one, it's always kind of like, because even Bruce Wayne, it's like, I always assume he's either like some type of Jewish/Italian, because think about it, all these characters, they all originate from New York, because that's where all the creators were living. So obviously they're not like, they're all drawn of dark hair, so they're not Irish. We know that. We can rule that one out. So that leaves Jewish and Italian left.
Unless you're Wally or Barry.
Oh yeah, well yeah, some of those other characters like that. Well, then they have the blonde hair.
Oh, I know. Barry's blonde. Wally is redhead. That's right.
Yeah. See, he's the one like ginger one. He's like the flag waving, just like Jimmy Olsen.
I'm still here.
Proud as hell.
Back to the void, Barry. Back to the void, Wally. No.
See, and I always like to picture. I know Superman's an alien and all, but I like to picture him as like a Jewish alien. Like I like when they draw him like a good-looking Jerry Seinfeld. That's my favorite look of Superman.
That's kind of how what's his name? That's how he draws both Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent. What's his name? Big actor, big artist. We both got his autograph.
Oh, okay.
Neil
Adams.
Neil Adams, yeah.
Yeah, I like because he makes them look like they have kind of like a Jewish look, and I like that because that's how I feel. Like especially Superman, I feel like that's how Superman should be. He should have that.
They're all like, I don't know about Bill Finger. Now it's coming out in like a very Da Vinci Code kind of way. That Bill Finger is more of the creator of Batman, and he just basically freelanced the rights out to
Bob Kane. Well, Bob Kane was Jewish. I don't know if Bill Finger was, but I'm probably around that time working in New York, doing a lot of work in that area. Because that's what all these creators seem to be. They always seem, like you said, they always seem to be kind of like Jews living in New York. So that's probably why they kind of have more of like a kind of like maybe some of those features.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I think like it kind of is, because he's just, everybody's in New York. Generally, the three main populations, especially back in the day. I mean, there was, there's Swedish people there and all kinds of other like immigrants too. But mostly it's either you're Jewish, Italian, or Irish. It's like gangs in New York. You know what I mean? Like if there's something that explains it well, there you go.
Yeah, I think that kind of explains how the way they kind of all came out looking. But regardless, but anyway,
But
as far
Judas
as this movie
contract.
goes. Judas contract. I thought it was, it was actually, I'll say I thought that Damien, he wasn't in it like a bunch like I thought he would be, but
No,
he's
because he
still there.
literally gets like stuck in a rock wall and he's like hanging out there for like more than half the movie.
But I like the little bit like, well, little like when he was talking shit to Slade, he says like running with teenagers seems to be about your speed or whatever, and like he stalks him in the face, and Slade's just like, you know what? I'm gonna like text him back because he has his phone. He has him kidnapped. He's like, I'll be with you shortly. Have a good night. Stops like, no, you're more of a dick than that. Racist.
No, they wrote
Working.
Slade like I think Slade was like almost like the best written character in that whole thing. Like I just loved that he's just like sarcastic. He had funny lines. He was kind of like a douche, but it like worked well, like in a fun way. Like I like the way that they portrayed him in that.
I'm gonna kill you all. Then I'm gonna get some waffles.
Yeah, or like I think that's when he looks at like Blue Beetle's like, "What's up, essay?"
He was very much of a douchebag. Well, I'll say this because I watched the special features, both of them, and they said like Deathstroke's more of a man of honor. Like his word's his bond, and I'm like, I know that's coming from the guys that created him, but it's just like I don't really see that. I think he's just a guy who sees a paycheck. Like it's the thing, like it's the contract. Like it's more of like I don't think he's really a guy like because he seems to have no problem going after the Titans. Like 'cause that's the thing. It's kind of funny.
He's a
Who is the
60-year-old man
most
who's chasing down children.
Yeah, it's like, well, it's one of those things like who's the most badass, what most badass villains in all of comic books, and let's just limit it down to DC. One of the most badass characters. Where did he originate? Fighting children.
Yeah, exactly. And here's the thing: the children always seem to win.
Yeah, so I mean, we're wrong. I understand he's almost been more adopted by like Batman and Green Arrow by this point because I think they realized he's such a good villain we could probably drop into other things,
Mm-hmm.
but. It's one of those things though, because I mean, I know it's the creators that said this, but like he's a guy of honor who doesn't really, want the job, but he gets always hired, so he takes it. I don't even take it as that. I just feel like he's a guy who doesn't care. He gets a job. It's like, look, it's just a fucking job, and he'll do and say anything, even lie, to win the job. Because there's even the part where like in the comics, I guess they're more forward about it. Where in the movie, they see, from what I'm told, they're more forward about it. Where in the movie, it seemed like he was leading her on. There's the whole like relationship between Tara and Slade,
Mm-hmm.
and Slade has that whole thing like she's smitten with him because he saved her, and she has daddy issues. So it's like she sees him and she wants to fuck him. She's always like, not now. Well, when we're done with the job, all right? Yeah, you wait there. Cool, awesome. And then like when the opportunity turns to leave her, like, yeah, fuck it, take her, go. Sorry, kid, part of the job. And I feel like it's in the comics. Maybe I never read Judas Contract the comic, but I feel like in the comics it was one of those things where it's like that was like maybe he was fucking her, but which is kind of creepy. But this one that played it off more like, yeah, I don't. Okay, yeah, sure thing, kid.
And it's like one of those ones, because I watched it twice, and on the second time I kind of thought about him, like, because the part where he sort of turns her in, which I guess we could say the whole story of the Judas contract, is that this guy, he's pretty much trying to be this god to everybody at this,
Brother
like,
blood.
yeah, brother blood, the church. So he's like, go capture me a bunch of children so I can absorb their powers. Which this is the one thing that kind of confuses me. It's like, why does he need Nightwing and Damian? Like, what the heck is he going to absorb out of those two guys?
He said something to the effect of like, well, they're still pretty strong and well
Yeah,
trained.
it's like their
so
skills, I guess. But I just thought that was kind of like an odd one because he's absorbing powers, and it's like, okay, I get everybody else because like technically, even in the in fight, it's like, well, what the heck did he get from Damian? Well, they didn't get Nightwing, but what did he get from Damian? It's like, you know what I mean?
sweet motorcycle skills and backflips.
Yeah.
I'm sure Blue Beetle can do a backflip too, but whatever.
But whatever. So they get to the point where it's like, okay, and Deathstroke's like, oh yeah, I didn't get Dick Grayson. I decided just to kill him because that's just how I feel. Because clearly he doesn't have powers. Like, why do you need him? Like, well, I got Damian here. It's like, oh, well, fuck it. And then he gets to the point where it's like, well, we can use somebody. And they just kind of like look over at Tara. And then he's like, not if you agree, Slade. And Slade's like, fuck it. But I almost kind of wonder if it's like a double whammy. Because there's that part where she kisses Beast Boy. And then Slade afterwards goes, you almost convinced me there. And then she kind of breaks from it. And I just kind of wonder, it's like, okay, he sounds really calm there, but I wonder if in the background it was kind of like, well, I'll accept her, but if there's a moment where I have to turn her in, fuck it. Like, you know what I mean? Screw her. You know what? You can't have me. You're all used up now. You fucked the Beast Boy.
I think he's just I think he's just a serial user. I think that's one of the things. I think he didn't want her to get too attached. He's like, look, you spent like a year with them, so I get why you're attached. But you know, just it's the job. The job is what comes first. And I'll say this though. Job. Call back to her own shit there. I'll say I thought it was kind of interesting. Of all things they can get, I'm not complaining because I actually thought she did a good job, and I like her a lot. But of everything they can get Christine Ricci to play, they got her to play the same angry teen she played throughout the 90s.
Well, it's just kind of funny because it's just
like,
that thing where it's like
if you're like an angry 90s teen, you needed Christina Ricci to play your character.
Well, that's always true. But the weird thing, too, is like, let's get this 40-year-old lady to play, like, a 15-year-old girl. That just kind of makes you laugh. I mean, it works. Like, if you didn't really know that that's who it was, you would never even think of it. But it just always sounds kind of funny when they do that.
I couldn't really tell from her voice, but it was one of those things, like, you know, like, all that experience from, like, you know, like, oh, this is bringing me flashbacks to playing Casper.
Yeah, exactly. Or, like, she was in Addams Family and all kind of mermaids and things like that. So there's all those, like, random things. But I've noticed in like all these ones, they seem to get that one big non-voice actor person to be in there, because it's like they got Christina Ricci in this one, and the next one they got the Howard's girlfriend from like Big Bang Theory. I don't know what her name is, but they get like somebody who's like they're not a voice actor per se, I guess you could say, but they're like sort of a big name that maybe like I always feel like those are always those weird things. Like, does that draw in anybody? Is there somebody like Oprah's like, oh my god, that was my favorite character from Big Bang. Oh, I have to see this Batman and Harley Quinn now. Oh my, I have to see. Like, does that really ever work? Or does somebody go like, oh my god, Christina Ricci, Mermaids is my favorite movie ever. I've never seen a DCU thing in my entire life. Guess what? I am gonna check out this Judas contract.
Fucking Casper.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it always seems kind of, to me, it feels like, is that just more of a kind of a waste of money? Because I think here's the thing. At the end of the day, like, the DCU fans don't care. You know what I mean? I mean, like, don't get me wrong, I like Christina Ricci. I'm not saying that, but it's like, technically anybody could play that Terra Girl. It's like, you get any good voice actor and do it, and it's not going to make a difference to me. You know what I mean?
I feel like that she, regarding that, I don't feel like that they really think they're going to change minds with that. Maybe a few. I feel more than anything, it's going to like maybe add legitimacy to it. I feel like they feel like, you know, we get one or two big names on here. That's going to make people go, oh, well, if it's going to bring someone of that high a caliber in here, then maybe we have a chance. I don't really think that, I can't imagine anybody who's like, because you get those people who, like, you know, I actually have friends that like Big Bang Theory that are into comic book shit. I don't know why, but I'll be honest. I like the first. They kind of got me hooked into it for a little while, and then like, as it went on though, it didn't get as funny to me.
Well, I think the show started out much better than it became. Like, it started off like almost like a legitimate show, and then all of a sudden, so I think either the writers changed or something like that, and it became almost a show for people that aren't into nerdy stuff to be like, look at those fucking nerds, they're so goofy. Look at, they're trying to do real people things.
Like, there's, for instance, like, you know, every so often you'll hear like that one person, they'll be like, I'm gonna watch Big Bang Theory tonight. I'm such a nerd.
Exactly.
Like,
that's the people.
Shut the fuck up. No, you're not. And then like, I don't think, no way, hearing that the girl playing Howard's wife or whatever is going to go watch the Teen Titans Judas contract movie.
You know,
or Harley Quinn.
Yeah, the other one, but that was just an example. And I'll say this: it's not that Big Bang Theory doesn't have funny stuff in there. There is funny moments. I'm not going to say that, but sometimes it comes across. It sounds kind of weird, but sometimes I feel like Big Bang almost comes across as sort of racist in a way, but I guess like nerd racist, whatever you'd want to call that, because it almost could, like, yeah, you could almost have it be like a show, like if you made this in the 70s, like where it was like 4 Asian guys and they were all like there was the stereotypical Chinese guy, the stereotypical Japanese guy, the stereotypical Viet Cong guy, and he just like always walked around like in a rice hat and like almost like he was out
a necklace with ears on it.
Yeah, exactly. Like he looked like he was like straight out of the Viet Cong, and like he was the only one who didn't speak English. He just spoke in Viet Cong, and he always had like an AK. And then you had like the stereotypical Korean person or something like that, and that was like what your show was, and it was like, okay, that's literally what that show feels like, but kind of like in a nerdy way, because and then what they do is they like. And I know it's a comedy and all, but like I kind of look at that show and it's like they try to mash like everything that like someone would consider nerdy like into one. It's like, okay, we have comic books, video games, science, math, space, all this stuff, and we'll just combine into one, which if anybody knows anybody nerdy, nobody's into all those different things. That's like completely different people. You know what I mean? And a lot of times the people that are into comic books, a lot of times aren't like the people that are into super science and things like that. Because I look at somebody like Sheldon, there is no way. People that are like that, they're that like intelligent and out there like that, would never like fucking comics. Because they're the kind of people be like, oh, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. Because I've seen those people in life, and they have a hard time with almost like storytelling things. I mean, once again, I know it's a TV show, so it's a comedy, so it seems weird to break down this character like that. But you just kind of look at, like, I could believe Leonard could be into all that stuff. That character I could believe, and Howard, I could believe that character, and Raj. But really, at the end of the day, Sheldon, he would not like Green Lantern. There was no fucking way somebody like that would like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I think the show, it's just one of those things. It took like it was this thing I didn't like at first, and then somebody twisted my arm into watching it, and the more I saw it, the more I kind of like warmed up to it. Nothing that happens with anything, but then the more I saw of it, the more I kind of stopped caring, and it just kind of the same old, just like, oh, they're together, oh, they broke up, oh, like, so like someone still hasn't got laid yet or whatever, and it just got old, and plus it's kind of still riding on those old stereotypes, like only fucking nerds like comic books, like that type of shit.
Well, because it has like the 1950s like nerd stereotype, and I think that's what makes.
And those guys do exist. If you go to a comic book store, you will find those guys. But it's like they're almost kind of playing it off like, you got to be a nerd to like this bullshit, And the thing is, the guys writing, they do know some of their comic book stuff, because they do make references like, okay, they actually know what the city of Kandor is. That's actually a deep cut right there.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like I'll give even though it feels like we're kind of tearing that apart, it's like, no, there is funny moments in there, and there is good jokes, and they do have some good, like, smart comedy. It's just, it has like the weird mix where it's like they have that, and it's like, oh, that's all funny and cool, and then they throw in the like, but these guys are trying to go on what a regular person's date would be like. I think it's the weird thing of, I think that's the part that kind of lost me at. And the first two seasons didn't have it, but once they try to make the characters feel like, look at, they're nerds, but they're trying to do normal people things. I think that's what it felt kind of weird. It was like, okay.
Remember back when we used to talk about stuff we liked?
Exactly. And it's one of those ones like, and the thing is too, I have the first two seasons of Big Bang. Well, I bought it mainly because it was like, oh, it's Chuck Lorre. It's like, well, fucking A, this is gonna be all sweet. Like, he hasn't failed me yet. Well, actually, and I will say, this, Big Bang's not a fail. Like, I think that's, well, obviously not a fail. It does better than anything else known to mankind, and it is funny, and it is things like that. It's just, it's oddly just has that weird. I don't know how to say
this weird hate relationship. Like, it's like, I feel like they want to sums up your relationship with Big Bang. It sounds like, whether you admit it or not. There's that song by 3 Days Grace. I hate everything about you. Why do I love you?
It's almost like that. There's sometimes those like kind of friends where it's like you can hang out with them for a bit, but if you hang out for them too long, you almost feel like you need to like slightly strangle them because you just can't take that much of a dose of them. Like, in small quantities, it's fine, but if it was like too much at once, then next thing you know, you got to get the squirt bottle out and just start shooting them with it like a dog. Like, stop talking for a moment.
Back to your hut. Go.
But back to Judas Contract. Back to the most amazing things known to mankind, I guess, as long as you like DC.
No, like that one right there. It was like, tell me if you noticed this. I noticed this regarding Judas Contract. They have that whole part where a couple of times, maybe, I'm not sure what it was. It was the animation suddenly either turned rotoscoped or they're using 3D models with cel-shaded layers. Did you notice that?
Well, I noticed in the second time watching it, the backgrounds lots of times are CG.
Well, like, there's a couple parts, like when like Slade was making very like, there's a couple like fist fights that were almost more like, okay, that's just really well done animation. But there's some, like near the final battle, when Slade is going against Terra and the other Teen Titans, you saw some of his facial expressions, some of his movements. Something that some anime shows have been doing is they'll have like this animation where it's clearly CG animation with a cel-shaded layer, but it's very minimal. Or if you freeze framed it, it looks like you would be watching a 2D show. But if you just let it play out, there's this kind of herky-jerky kind of like CG cel-shaded animation thing going on. And I felt like it's either that or it just really went rotoscope for a couple of little moments.
Well, most animation still uses rotoscoping more often than you'd think. But I know what you mean though. By like the look of rotoscope when like you 100% rotoscope something.
When something moves too fluidly, you know.
Yeah, and it's almost that thing of it's kind of like the Batman the Telltale game. Like that's not nearly as good look. Well, it's still a good looking one, but you know you can tell that you're kind of playing a game that's at that, but it has like that sort of cell shaded look. And I've seen that before of some other animations where once they kind of render them out and everything like that, it's all 3D, but it can look. And I think I've kind of noticed that for the last handful, maybe even the last year or so of DCUs, I think there's a little bit more CG in there than you think. I think a lot of times it's, I think it appears, well, I mean, at the end of the day, it's all computer done. It's not like anybody's hand drawing any of this crap. I mean, they might be hand drawing it like on a tablet, but, it's all full on the computer digital. So it has that kind of look to it. But I think there is a little bit more and more, like almost like cheater ways to sort of get 2D across. And I don't think it's a bad thing, but, there is just a little bit more implemented like 3D in there just to make, the job a little bit easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it was just something I kind of never noticed. Maybe it was in other stuff before, but I never noticed it before in the previous DCU movies. Like there's even a part when like it was just something small. Like there's a part when I want to say Deathstroke is talking to Robin, Damian,
when he's against the wall, and his hand comes up in a really weird fluid motion for a second. It looks different from any other kind of animation you've seen in the rest of the show. But it's just for a very small motion like that. Like I feel like they were almost like testing out at certain points, and by the time they got to the main battle, that's like, okay, now we're going to implement the shit out of this.
And I could almost see it too more because now it seems like before it used to be like it was kind of like 3 a year. 3 a year was the number they had, but it almost feels like there's 4 a year now. So maybe by having that extra bit of, I mean, I know it's like different teams are always working on them, so that's how they can kind of do it. It's not like they make these like every 3 months. It's probably like everybody works on one for like an entire year, and then they just kind of space them out. But I do think with this one, because like, okay, this is the second one, and the third one is the Batman and Harley Quinn movie, and that's coming out in summer, which probably means there's going to be one like in November as well, too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I could see them. It would make sense because that 3D, because there's to see. I'm not going to say watch the shows because the ones I saw weren't that good. There's a couple of Netflix shows. There's one called Ajin or something like that. It was an anime original Netflix show. I just saw, oh, it's some new anime. Let me check it out. Like, oh, it's this weird cell shade thing, and I had trouble getting into it. And then there was, I think, the new Berserk, which I have not seen, is doing that. And then there's some other show, which is it's a space colony Gundam kind of thing, same kind of animation.
Well, that's kind of like the early technology on like that Appleseed, like not the 80s one, but like the one that came out like the early 2000s or mid 2000s or something like that.
Well, the Appleseed stuff, that one actually looked fluid and smooth. This one, it almost looks kind of like, it looks it's weird. It looks semi stop motion. Like it kind of moves kind of like in anime, but it looks like cell shaded, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. So it's got kind of like, well, because like the Appleseed one, like I think at the time when it came out, they felt like it looked more like it was like, oh my god, it's all 3D, but like we got enough cell shadedness on there that it's going to look kind of 2D. But like in the long run, you look back at it, it's like no, it just looks really 3D, but with like an anime look.
Yeah.
And it's not like that it's still a good movie. It's just kind of has like that weird kind of uncanny animation, I guess is the best way to say it.
Mm-hmm. Like what I'm saying, it's kind of hard to describe. Once you actually see it, maybe you'll know what I mean. But yeah, look that up when you can. I was going to say, though, regarding this, that might be a reason why they're trying something like this, because it's probably a little cheaper. Probably get these things out there quicker. Because I think these movies, I'm not sure if they're losing money, but I was one time just went down the Wikipedia hole and looked at the DC Universe movies. It was amazing how much money these things are making when they first come out, but they started to look like they slowly decline on like the sales when they come out. So I'm hoping that they probably enough to get their return back and make more of these things, but hopefully it's not like diminishing market or something like that.
Well, I think these movies, I think what it is, they probably are made for like $2 million and they make $10 million every single time one comes out, give or take. So it probably is a pretty good like constant income for like DC. I don't think it's like one of those ones where like none of these ones are really losing. I think at first like with stuff like I remember like the All-Star Superman one. I remember felt like that one made a lot of money, and maybe it's because those things seemed kind of brand new at the time. It was like, oh, this is a big deal, and now that they kind of just come out left and right, it's almost I think for the regular Joe, it's like whatever, just another DC movie.
Well, I think this is proof they have faith in it right here, because for a while it seemed like, okay, we're gonna do whatever we want. We're gonna do a DC movie for whatever. And they reached that point. All right, that's not selling. We're going to limit it down to Batman, Superman, Green Lantern, Justice League.
Well, even
the Green Lantern ones aren't selling. Those aren't selling. Let's scratch that off. All right, just Batman, Superman, Justice League. Shit, Superman's not working either. Just Batman and Justice League. And now it's like, because I can't remember the last time I think the last solo Superman movie was either Superman Unbound or Superman and the Elite, one or the other.
No, it was Superman Unbound. That was the last one.
That was the last one.
Because that came out during Man of Steel.
That's right. And then, like, ever since then, it's all either been Justice League related or Batman related. So if they want to do a Flash story, they got to do it through Justice League. If they want to do an Aquaman story, they got to do it through Justice League. Now it's like, this is the first one in a while where it's just like, you know what? Fuck it. Teen Titans. You mean Teen Titans and Batman? Nope. Teen Titans.
You mean Teen Titans and Justice League?
We already did that. Teen Titans and Batman. So it's just Teen Titans. I'm sorry. Caffeine's not working today. That's always my excuse every show, I know. But anyway. But that's one of those things where I feel like now this couple things come to mind. So we said this before. Whenever they start putting in like particular characters in the forefront, that makes you think they're prepping us up for something. A, I feel like they're trying to prep people up for the Nightwing movie.
Mm-hmm.
B, maybe they got something planned in the pipes for Teen Titans or Damian.
Well, I think it's also Deathstroke too for the Batman movie.
Deathstroke, yeah.
So they keep shoving Deathstroke in left and right.
Yeah, he's always a seller. So, and he's still probably not dead even after the whole earthquake comes in and kills everybody. Another kills Terra and like Brother Blood and all them.
Mm-hmm. But no, I think it is one of those ones where it's nice to see that they can finally start doing, because that was like the thing is I loved in the beginning when they would do just like, oh, here's just a Wonder Woman only movie. It's like, does it have to have anybody else? No, it's just straight up Wonder Woman. And I see that there was a commercial on this movie. They have like some definitive edition of that Wonder Woman one coming back around. They're like, let's try this shit again, because that movie's amazing. But like at that time period,
it's one of the best ones.
Yeah, like literally, I probably put it up in the top 5 best ones. It's like that good. But it's just something about it. Like, I think it was hard sell if it didn't have Batman or Superman or the Justice League. And then Superman even started to wean after a while, too, sadly enough. Because it's like the Green Lantern one, too. Like, the first flight, it's such a good movie.
Well, I'll say this, like, regarding I feel like that Wonder Woman movie, that was probably made with the intent to get Joss Whedon's Wonder Woman movie out 2 years or a year later. Because that's right when they were talking about Joss Whedon directing Wonder Woman. And that was probably like, all right, we'll get this out there, maybe throw her in a video game or two just to spread awareness. And then whatever happened at Warner Brothers happened. So
yeah.
Then that movie wasn't well received at the time for whatever reason, even though it's one of the best ones.
Well, because that's like one of the first. I want to say it's like number 5 or something like that. Because
I think that's number 3. I think that might be number 3 because you got Doomsday,
which is the first one.
Gotham Knight,
and you got
Gotham Knight,
New Frontier.
Oh wait, what came first? Gotham Knight or New Frontier?
I think New Frontier might be the second one.
Actually, all right, Doomsday, New Frontier, Gotham Knight, and then I think you got Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I think then you got Wonder Woman, and then the Green Lantern one I know is pretty darn close to that too. It might not be right after that, but 2 after. So, but now. What do you think about that new Batman Harley Quinn one, though? That one looks fucking amazing, and I just love how the animation is literally animated style, the animated series style.
Well,
animated style.
Like
I love how it's animated style. It's not.
I like how the cartoon is animated. I like it. It's fun.
Make the angry one that they have real people in movie.
If you want to smash, I don't use your strength. I use your super strength. No, I feel like, I'm wrong. When I first heard, like, Batman and Harley Quinn, the movie, I was like, of course it's fucking Harley Quinn. But then now I'm seeing the team that's working on it. It's more, I'll say this, the team working on it is what has me more interested than the movie itself. Because, I don't dislike I don't hate or even dislike Harley Quinn. I'm just kind of tired of seeing Harley Quinn everywhere.
Exactly.
But that said, just because it's not even like, it's not because some, every so often you'll get someone like, I'm just tired of all these girl characters in comics. It's not even that. I think there's better characters than her. I think she's a great side character. I don't think she's a great character for the forefront. You know what I mean?
Well, she's got as many books as Batman has. That's the ridiculous part. If not more sometimes. I feel like sometimes I see like Batman's got like 2 or 3 books, and then next thing you know, Harley Quinn's got like 4. It's like, what the heck?
I think, there's better characters than Harley Quinn. I think that, like someone like, Batgirl's becoming big again, so that's good. You got someone like Batgirl or Supergirl, or I even like Jade. Jade, she's that one she was like the daughter of Scott from the Green Lantern. She has the powers of the ring without the ring. So I always like that character. So I feel like there's a lot of other characters you could probably put more emphasis on for girls, but I get it. She's kind of like the girl Deadpool for DC, so I get why she's popular. I'm tired of just seeing her on everything, but whatever. Anyway, I'm sure there's people tired of seeing Batman on everything.
Fuck him.
But that makes, that's different. It's Batman.
Yeah, Batman's the one thing in life that never gets tiring.
But I think that I'm looking forward to it because it's basically the PG-13 sequel to the animated series. It's like clearly, definitely takes place in that same world. It's done by Bruce Timm and Alan Arnett, and it looks like it's going by that same style. It doesn't look like it's afraid to be a little darker, a little bit more like fucked up than the other animated series stuff. So I'm looking forward to it. Well,
plus too, what I like about it, one, because really at the end of the day, that's mostly how I sum up. Like if it's pretty much Paul Dini and what's his name? You just said it 2 seconds ago. I just drew a blank. No.
I'm at it, Bruce
Timm. Like, because those are the 2 guys that pretty much created Harley Quinn. If it's made by those guys, then I really like Harley Quinn. It's the second that Harley Quinn gets into other people's hands, I just don't think people understand the character very well. It's equivalent to like sitcoms. Once you finally get rid of the original writers, all of a sudden, it's not that the show is that much different, but you can tell that somebody else just doesn't understand the characters 100%. And that's how I kind of feel like. And so as Harley Quinn kind of like evolved into being like this other type of character, it's like it started to lose interest. So what I like about this one is like, no, that looks like the Harley Quinn that I actually like and the one I know and remember. So it's that there. And then you got Batman and Nightwing, especially. I'm glad anything that's got Nightwing in it. I'm glad that Nightwing's left and right in these movies. Mm-hmm. So you got all that. And I think the other thing that looks cool is I like how the movie's kind of treated kind of fun. Mm-hmm. I think that also is kind of neat. It's like, hey, it'll be PG-13, so it's not like it's like kiddie fun, but it's like, no, it's like there's a little bit more of a, almost kind of, I guess it reminds me of kind of almost like the Caped Crusaders Batman movie that came out, 3 or 4 movies ago. It was like, we'll make the movie, kind of darker and more PG-13, but we'll have fun with it still. And I think that's how this one sort of looks, just in a little bit different way.
Yeah, like they even said this one's going to be a little more of a comedy, which is fine because there's already so many serious Batman stories. What's wrong with telling a comedic one once in a while? I'll say that because I do see the dollar signs when I see they just throw Harley Quinn on there, but at the same time though, I feel like it's by, like you said, by people who know and understand the character, and it's by the original team, so I think it'll turn out being good. The one thing is regarding one of the things I have with Harley Quinn is you got so many people different writing her, and there's so many different versions of her, and it kind of seems unbalanced because you have this Harley Quinn from the animated series that we know and love, and who is kind of bubbly, but she also does some fucked up shit. She's almost unaware of what she's doing. Then you got the Harley Quinn that is like just as sick and demented as Joker, but she just does it wearing like a tube top and short shorts.
Well, that's almost like the crackcore version. I think that's the one that kind of loses me at. It's like I like her when she's more fun and bubbly, and once the second that you kind of make her where she looks like she's like a hooker, it's like, I don't know. That's where it loses me at.
And then like she's also like even more like twisted. She's like just as twisted as Joker, has no problem killing indiscriminately, no problem. Where the other one almost seemed like, even though it's still kind of creepy, she can kind of maybe turn on a dime, but this one almost seems like more modern Harley Quinn. It just seems like, because they'll come out, like there'll be a book comes out, it'll be like
here's Joker and Harley Quinn working together to murder a whole building filled with people. Now here's Harley Quinn just trying to get by and get a job, and oops, she actually burnt down this place. No one died. It was kind of funny, And then like, you know what I'm saying? It's like trying to balance out like, a very Deadpool personality and the Joker,
Well, because I read one of the solo Harley Quinn books that came out. I think it was during the New 52 because it was on sale on Comixology. I'm like, well, fuck it, I'll check this out. And the thing was, it was like Deadpool is what they were totally going for that. But the downfall is like, one, it was like the PG-13 Deadpool, so I felt like it was missing out on just kind of like just a certain like over the top things that you can have like when it's mature rated. And it's just one of those ones like at the same time it's like, it almost when you're trying to make Harley Quinn Deadpool, it almost sort of takes away from who Harley Quinn is originally too. At the same time, it's like, I don't know. As I said, I just don't think a lot of people like understand the character like enough. It's like they get like a general idea, and obviously I'm not going to say like it's not like they don't understand her at all. I mean, they probably they get it, but they have their own take. Let's just say that.
Well, just to clarify what I said, like comparing like Deadpool and Harley Quinn for a second ago. I know that Deadpool, there's a lot of like civilian casualties sometime in Deadpool, but it's almost like comparing like, how do I put it? Like, I feel like sometimes they'll drop Harley Quinn in the book is grim, is Punisher, and she's doing some fucked up horrid shit. And then you put her in something as lighthearted. It's her own story. And it has much more of like this carefree attitude. And there's not as much violence. It's not as grim, but that's the same character a couple books over that was just like fucking getting ready to kill a child, Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things where it's like, I don't have any moral problems with the character. I just feel like they're trying too hard to get too many different audiences with her and just try and make her whatever, Yeah,
they just try to make the appeal too high, but other than that, though, it's like, yeah, that new Batman Harley Quinn one, I'm looking like when I watched that little behind the scenes thing that they had on the disc of the Judas contract, it's like, oh man, I am so excited for that one. That one looks, it was one of those ones, yeah, title alone, I would have been like, oh yeah, cash grab here. But then you see it's like, no, not a cash grab. I mean, like it is, but it's like a legitimate, like, let's do like a really good Harley Quinn story once again. It's almost like it's kind of like redeeming itself for all like the trashy Harley Quinn we have out there. Let's actually put a better one in there. So it's like, okay, cool. I like that. But speaking of other Batman, we also read Batman All-Star because the new graphic novel came out. And
this is going to come back to Batman All-Star in just a second. But did you hear that there's an interview? They said, it's nothing set up just yet, but they would like to do, it's finally coming true, hopefully, a Batman 2-2, a Batman Hush and a Batman Long Halloween.
See, that would be awesome. Because I think that's one of those ones, like, that's the next big graphic novels to pull from as far as Batman goes. Is like, dude, and it's like, and some people always say, they're like, well, how can you do it? Both those books are like 12 issues long. I'm like, well, you could condense them down, or you could do a two-parter like The Dark Knight Returns.
They were talking about taking a chance. There was just a quick little interview I read. They're supposed to take the chance of making the Long Halloween one feature length, like not like this hour and 10-minute shit, like the full feature length.
Well, that is a full feature length. Is our feature length is 65 minutes and above.
You know what I mean, though, like feature length, like as far as like it's not very often you go to a movie theater this day and age and it's an hour and 10 minutes. It's got to usually be at least an hour and 20 most of the time.
That Judas contract, I was kind of happy with that one. It was an hour and 26 minutes.
That was?
Yeah, that one was, because some of them, there's a couple.
That was actually, okay.
A couple of the last ones have been like 78 minutes or something like that, which is, I mean, at the end of the day, the thing about animation is if you compare animation to live action, like even if an animation only runs an hour and 20, lots of times, story-wise, that's like a 2 hour. If they did it in live action, it would end up being 2 hours because I don't know what it is. The pacing of animation is always just a little bit faster, so you can get more things done. It's kind of like why you can watch a 20-minute long episode of a cartoon, and more shit gets done than like a 45-minute episode of a live action show. So I think that's kind of it. But that'd be cool. Like, well, realistically, if they just did this, I think if they split it in half like The Dark Knight Returns to make it easy on everybody, that'd be the cool way to do both Hush and Long Halloween.
Because those are both like big long story arcs, and both stories by Jeff Loeb. So
yeah, I mean, if they did it like if they did just a little bit longer, they did it like an hour and 45 minutes. I bet you could fit it all into there and sum them up.
Probably, yeah.
But going into All-Star Batman, which is Scott Snyder's kind of new run, and he was kind of doing like, I guess you would say like the side running Batman story, since he's not doing the main like regular Batman and he's not doing like Detective Comics thing. He's had his own kind of thing, which I think's kind of nice. Like let him go off the rails of so he's not really tied to keeping the main story arc going of Batman. He can kind of do whatever he wants. And I've had these issues sitting here for a while. It's just one of those ones. I've actually been chunking down my stack. Like I looked all of a sudden, it's like I had like arms wide of all these books I read in like the last couple of weeks. So it's like I knocked out all my Green Arrows, I knocked out all my Batgirls, I knocked out all my Nightwings. So I'm like working my way down through all kinds of stuff. But that Batman All-Star one, I read the first 5 issues, which I'm assuming was what the graphic novel was, since they're thicker than a normal comic book. Mm-hmm. But that was like the Two-Face story, because the next one was like going into Mr. Freeze. So I'm like, I assume this is where it ends.
Yeah, there's no Mr. Freeze in mine.
So yeah, but I like that story. It's just where it's like it's a Batman Two-Face like road trip thing, and like they literally count the miles like of the journey in like each issue of like how they're going. And he's like, I gotta take Two-Face to this mansion, make him see who he is.
Because the whole thing about it is they now here's the thing, maybe I'm not as well versed in Batman as I thought I was. Every so often I know Two-Face would talk to himself a little bit, Harvey versus Two-Face. But I noticed most of the time, though, it was very much Two-Face just talking some shit, and every once in a while he'll just have a little sliver of humanity.
What?
This
Two-Face? Shut the fuck up, Harvey!
Slaps him. Like stumbles down the stairs, has a noise
like
as it goes down.
Stooges.
Like that slip noise. Like, just a bunch of pots and pans when he gets to the bottom of the stairs. Like, oh
the
well,
cat.
He's usually yeah. Like you see, yeah. He's a criminal mastermind, but he has to kind of get this out every so often.
Just shows his like thugs stand around like, does this happen often? Happens all the time. You'll get used to it. It's okay. Sometimes it's kind of funny. It's like having your own 3 Stooges in your house. Just
one
don't
guy.
laugh in his face. Do not laugh in his face, though.
And then he just just prepare yourself. He's gonna come up the stairs and do it again. He's Two-Face. So everything works in twos. Anyway,
if you missed it, the good thing is you get a second chance.
Do it again. Just give it some time. So this one right here, I'll say it's kind of like now this whole plays it off like Two-Face is part of his personality, just like Harvey's still part of his personality, and they're able to keep secrets from each other. And he kind of like nods in and out of who's in control, Two-Face or Harvey. So one of them could have totally done something behind the other's back and not really know about it. And they're both kind of constantly struggling for dominance over the body, which to me, it's always seemed kind of like it's always been Two-Face, but Harvey every once in a while would just kind of like, why are we doing this, Batman? Kind of like, slightly slip out for a second, but then go back to being Two-Face. Where this one, they're both kind of like sharing equal screen time, kind of. So maybe that's always been there. Maybe I haven't noticed. What about you?
No, I think that lots of times it seems like he's in Two-Face mode like 90% of the time, and then they'll have like the issue where it's like he's having like the one where he's like, I don't know who I am. No, Batman, you gotta save me. Oh, no, we gotta kill Batman. Like every once in a while they'll pull that kind of card, but I think this one was one of the few times that I've ever seen it where I felt like it was really balanced going back and forth. I just don't think... I think this was... probably somebody else has done something similar at some point, But I think it's one of those ones you don't see this too often. You mostly see the one where it's like, no. Once he went Two-Face, it's pretty much he never went back.
That's kind of how I always viewed it, but I figured maybe there was something that I missed. I know there's the one which is Face the Face, which is where during Hush... he got his face fixed.
Mm-hmm.
He's just like, I got some mental counseling, got my face fixed. I'm Harvey again, bitches. Like, oh, yeah, this is going to last long, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And then, he's framed for a crime. And then, that kind of Batman teaches him to watch over the city as Harvey Dent, teaches him some training. And then he eventually loses it again. Says, you know what? Fuck it. Takes some acid, pours in his face, self-inflicts his own, like, and he has this whole issue is this whole like conversation between himself and Two-Face. When he looks in the mirror, he sees like all of like is his whole reflection as Two-Face.
Mm-hmm.
So like the fucked up scarred side of his face is his old face when he looks in the mirror. So, and then he eventually became Two-Face again, and then the Rebirth happened. That was years later, and then like Rebirth happened, then like New 52 happened, and then Rebirth happened, and maybe this is like a after effect of Rebirth. But this one right here, I'll say that like it's I like it if you could do something with Batman and you really change it up. That says something because Snyder has always been like someone who's like it feels like Batman, but he does something drastically different. The only things he kind of keeps in like the same mold is when it seems to be kind of going to a Joker story, but he just does it really good. Where everything else seems like, okay, what's this? Commissioner Gordon is robot Batman. Wait, what's this? There's an Illuminati that kind of knows who Batman is and this and that. And this one's like, what's this? Road trip.
Yeah,
It's like going across like Midwest America and stopping all these like gas station towns, a lot of like bright, colors and like, fields of grass kind of shit.
and that's one thing is I really like Batman stories where they're not in Gotham. Sounds kind of weird, and I think it's just because you see Gotham so often. I think some of my favorite ones, it's like I love when Batman starts traveling different places, and I do wish that actually happened way more often, because I think that's some of the best stories is whenever he goes somewhere.
I'm glad it mostly takes place in Gotham, but I'm glad every so often when he leaves. And this right here, this honestly seems like this could be like volume 11 of his. And I know it's Jon Romita Jr. drawn instead of Greg Capullo. But this honestly feels like this could have been their next book they worked on together.
Yeah, it almost feels like a continuation. And even the artwork kind of feels like sort of like it's different, but it feels like a Greg Capullo style. I don't know. Maybe it's like the coloring is kind of like what makes me feel like that. Which, did you read Greg Capullo's new book though with Mark Millar? It's really fucking awesome.
Oh, I haven't. I want to. I didn't know he was working with Mark Millar. I want to check that out now.
Yeah, I finally caught up on that. It's called Reborn, and it's about like a story like where like when you die, you kind of go to this like sci-fi fantasy kingdom, and if you were a good person, you're kind of like in almost like the Knights of the Round, King Arthur style area, but it's like mix of like sci-fi with like almost like swords and shields. And then if you were kind of evil, you go to almost like this hell-like world and you become kind of like this warlord thing. And the cool thing too is like when people die, like they come back at like different ages. Like the main character is a girl and she dies at like an old age, like 88 years old or something like that in like a nursing home and everything. And when she wakes up, then she's like 22 in her thing. And then she meets her father again. And the father's like, well, yeah, when I came back, I was like a child. I was like 5 years old or something like that. So he's like, he's been in this world for like 30 or 40 years growing up, so he's used to it, and he's showing her all the different things. But then this part I thought was kind of funny. They had like their pets, like when the pets die, they come into the world too. So she like her old dog when she was a kid is there, and now he's kind of like this big kind of enhanced dog that goes around the journey. And there's a part to it made me laugh. Like there's a cat, and when he died, he went to like the dark demon section. He's all, that girl treated me miserably. When I was a child, she cut off my balls, and I've never forgiven since. So he's like
I want to read this. So
he became like the ice captain or some sort. So he has all these like ice powers, and he's like this giant cat man. It's pretty darn cool. Like I think issue 5 was the last one that came out. So
I'm looking that one up.
Yeah, it should be out probably in graphic novel pretty darn soon. I think it probably has one more to go, but it's worth if you see just a single issue, just pick them up because it's not like there's any commercials or anything in it.
Is it Image or like Millar's only press?
I think it's Image.
Okay. Image they're just cranking shit out, man. They're bringing out great books one after another.
Well, that's why I kind of go like that company's not like when people say, "Oh, that's like the independent company." I'm like, no, it's not. It's like literally just as big as Marvel and DC almost by this point. Like I see almost just as many books on the shelf that are like Image ones as I do there, and they seem to have all like the big guys just doing whatever they want.
We'll get back to like All-Star Batman in just 1 second, but like half like I got to because we're doing the OMO comic book show, and sorry it's a little late. We'll get the new one out pretty soon. But like half the books I have in mind for that show are Image books. So it says a lot how much Image just cranking out right there.
Mm-hmm.
But regarding this right here though, All-Star Batman. So yeah, basically now I'm not sure if I missed something between like maybe they said in Detective Comics or maybe in recent issues of regular Batman they said it, but Two-Face knows Batman's Bruce Wayne. Like that, there's no big turnaround or no big surprise. Like he already knows he's Bruce Wayne. And
yeah, I don't know where that came from.
Yeah, and basically Batman's trying to get Two-Face to this summer home that they both stayed at. It was like this. It's like the summer home for orphan boys,
By the Arkham
and
family.
that yeah,
A name you
and
can
but they
trust.
nothing shady goes on here in Arkham. Oh boy, yeah. Come on down to the swimming hole, kids. Ignore the bodies.
Yeah.
They met at this summer home. They became friends, and it was like this sounds like a very Snyder-esque thing. Like they promised to kill each other. It's like they made a deal. Like I'll find Harvey Dent's like, I'll find Joe Chill and kill him if you find my dad and kill him because he beat me when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So they have like this really fucked up kind of weird bond, but sure enough that breaks eventually, and they were just good childhood friends. And Harvey told Batman, like, go to the house. There's a cure there. There's a cure that can make me Harvey and Harvey only. So it's a race against time for Batman to get Harvey over to the house where he apparently stored it and this cure. And you got all the criminal mob bosses of Gotham, Black Mask, Penguin, and Great White. And of course, Penguin's the one more leading them. And they're sending all these hired mercenary, like C-level villains after Batman.
Isn't there like a reward that they put up for Batman or something like that?
There is. They put up a reward even for citizens. Like, hey, if you kill Batman, then you're gonna get. Like, I think Two-Face even does it because Two-Face went behind his back. Because most of the time it's not Harvey talking to him. Most of the time it's Two-Face talking to him, and he says, "Hey, get me away from Batman, and I'll get you a reward." Like something he like some kind of like radio signal he like did pretty automatically. And so Batman's just trying to carry this guy who's trying to kill him the whole time over to this place to inject him to get rid of his personality.
And then the cool thing too is Duke comes by about issue 2 to come help out, and so he's going along this road trip too. And Duke's just one of those characters I think that's one of those ones like like the We Are Robin thing was kind of a little bit weird, but like the Duke character coming out of that, I think that was a really good character just to kind of break the Robin mold a bit. Because I like a great character. Because I like how he's not Robin, and I like just the way he is. He's just kind of a cool character, and I like how it's like. I like how they make him too. He's a black guy and he listens to like heavy metal, and I like how he's like he's listening to this he's like driving like the Bat SUV or whatever the heck it was, and it's like he's like blaring music, and Batman's like turn down this fucking noise and stuff. He's like, yeah, well you probably like this band. Why? He's like, well their name's like I don't know. It says Bat and it's blanked out, so it's like. I don't think it's
like Arkham. It's like they're like the Arkham like some some Arkham name, but the song was like Batman. It was like blanked out, like the name of the song.
So I'm just thinking it's like okay, the way it goes, it's like it was 4 characters. So I'm like, well, it's not Batman fuck because that just sounds retarded. It's not
Batman's dick.
I think it's Batman dick. I think that's what because it's Batman's. So I'm thinking it's like Batman's dick or Batman's cock. I think is what the song is.
And then he says like at some point like it's kind of funny because that comes back around because. I'm not sure. It's all pseudoscience bullshit, but like Two-Face has his own small little battalion of Talons from that he was lent by the Court of Owls. And he says, like, and they're finding the Court of Owls. Like, well, you see, they're already dead, and they're underwater right now, so that puts a lot of pressure on their eardrums. Their eardrums is their one weak point in this condition because blah, 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 whatever reason.
And the water was cold, so we all know that slows them down.
And then he says, like, so then what he does is he gets, like, an MP3 thing, and out of his chest, it's kind of just funny, out of his chest, he's blaring, like, this Batman's death metal.
Batman's cock.
Yeah, and then as they're leaving, he says, like, see, I told you you'd be glad I brought that metal with me. He's like, that one line about Justice League punching someone's teeth into the asphalt. I almost like that.
I know. I like that part. I thought that was just hilarious. But like, it's like, how do you defeat the Court of Owls? With cold showers.
Showers and metal.
Yeah, exactly.
And the book actually has a good amount of humor in it. And that's what I like. I kind of like, because don't get me wrong, I love Batman being dark and gritty, but I like when it could take a step back and be funny. Because every issue, it's like this crazy, oh my god, I was not expecting that character. I was not expecting that character. Like it opens up like in the middle of like some kind of like gas station diner of like Firefly and Killer Moth slamming Batman through a window, kicking the shit out of him, and then Batman getting up, knocking them out, leaving. Later down the line, then you get like Copperhead, Killer Shark, Jade,
Croc.
All like Croc.
He's
Croc
bigger.
He's one of the bigger ones, but like all these like, and Croc's not even really. Killer Shark's not even a Batman villain, but basically all these C-level Batman characters. And there's one part like one of the big like hitmen of the book. I think this is once again maybe Snyder was just saying, because it's nothing in like the movies, it's nothing in the video games, so that's why I'm not really sure what it could be. But Snyder, maybe he just really likes KG Beast.
Well, I think that's awesome that they use him because that character always gets kind of shunned.
Yeah, and this they actually make KG Beast a bad guy, because even the comics I've read KG Beast in, he's there for a minute just to get killed, and who knows, he gets revived later, I guess. But he's like this big badass mercenary they hire, and he's actually competent in this. He's good at what he does, and he's almost kind of like Crossbones in Captain America, sort of in this.
Yeah, that's right. He almost even kind of looks like that.
And there's this funny part where like they actually get away. They get away from KG Beast, and then of all things that could show up, the Royal Flush Gang shows up. But it's not any version of the Royal Flush Gang. It is the version from Batman Beyond, which I thought was kind of funny.
I thought that was kind of.
And then he says like, it just because whenever they show up, it has like that does that Guy Ritchie thing, kind of like Firefly, low level killer, or it's just like Kruk, bigger killer, you know, or they get to KGB, the worst. And then it just gets like, it says Royal Flush Gang. He just throws a bomb at it, explodes, they all fall down dead. He's just like, the Royal Flush Gang, mess.
I like that, yeah, because and they have like this big entrance. They're like flying in like on an ace card, like stand their arms crossed like they're like the Fantastic Four or something like that. Just to get blown up.
I like the Royal Flush Gang, so I thought that was funny.
Well, it's not that I dislike it. It's just kind of like they always kind of were like that weird, odd, old timey characters that kind of are hard to translate to nowadays. I think, but not saying you can't. I think that like any character can. You know, but because it's kind of like I think that's how people thought about KGBs for the longest time. They're like, well, that was that old America versus the Soviet type character. Like, what are we gonna do with him nowadays? And I think it's like, well, no, you can still use those characters. Like, what the heck? You just gotta give it a little bit of a spin. That's about it.
And when it says KG Beast, they actually cross out KG. It's just the Beast.
So yeah, he's pretty much he's on his own. He's not working for Russia.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like it's like Omega Red. It's like I feel like. Oh, I was just gonna say it's like Omega Red's like that kind of character. Like even if they didn't tie him to anything Soviet, I mean, like I think it'd be cooler if they did. But you could pretty much use Omega Red like and have him be tied to anything else, like almost, and it would work still.
I feel like you could do Omega Red in a way like he got his training and his start working for the Soviets, but then he broke away. He's like, I do my own thing now.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's the thing with KGB. I think KGB started off as like a military assassin, but now I'm doing my own thing.
Exactly.
I actually think the Beast is a cooler name.
Yeah, well, I like the KGBs thing because I just like the Sovietness of it all.
The fun of it, yeah. The Sovietness of this is cool, but I just think that's just a cool name for a villain, the Beast. I know it's like kind of simple. Well, that's Beast.
Beast, not the Beast. It doesn't sound as menacing when you take away the. It's just like, oh, Beast. Yeah. That sounds friendly. It sounds like you could give that guy a hug. But once you put the Beast, it sounds kind of scary.
Yeah. I don't know how X-Men. I don't know how the Beast from X-Men slipped my mind right there.
But it's like one of those ones like. What you were saying about this All-Star one, how it's kind of got the humor and everything like that. Like, what I like about it is I like the fun factor. I've come to the conclusion a lot of things in life is I like a high fun factor and stuff. And just because you have the fun factor high, that doesn't mean that it makes something silly or different or anything like that. Because you can still have dark with fun. You can still have all kinds of, different elements. You can have serious with fun and everything like that. And it's almost like music. I thought about like music. Like, I'm like, a lot of times my favorite bands that I like all kind of have a fun factor in them, especially for metal bands too. It's like I like bands like Ailstorm, where it's like they're pirate themed, they're having a good time. I love bands like Steel Panther and Children of Bodom. They definitely have a good time with everything they do. And there's so many bands where it's like I almost like I hate the bands that take themselves like so serious, where it's like they just almost like look like they're not even having fun. Like they should literally be like wearing a suit, sitting in a desk, like playing metal. It's like that's how like serious it looks like they're taking it. Like I came up with this song as I was doing my taxes. And it's just like at the end of the day, it's like, no. And they almost like look down upon bands that have fun. And it's like, no, dude, like, what's wrong with a fun factor? And people do that all the time. They do that with movies too. And like stories where it's like, let's look down on the fun factor. For some reason, I don't know why people like to put down the fun factor in things. It's like, I love fun factor. I think movies, games, music, everything. I like, comics. I like when there's a little bit of a fun factor in it. I think that's almost like why I think like sometimes why I love Green Arrow. Like, cause you read a Green Arrow comic book, and even though you can have all the darkness and the seriousness and all this stuff, he's still having fun with his job. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, because that's really what he is. He's the fun-loving Batman.
Well, I also think this one right here, Snyder has been pretty good. I mean, even though he's wrote some of the darkest, most grimmest shit for Batman in recent years, he gives Batman a lot of personality. Because, a lot of people say he doesn't have a lot of personality because he's so focused on his job. This one, he actually makes Batman smirk a little bit. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but I mean, small doses like that, it helps. Like, there's a part where he's going against Croc. And Croc says, like, I come from somewhere in like Tennessee, and they call me the town idiot or whatever, And he's like boxing him a little bit. Eventually, he gets Croc. He like knocks Croc out. He's just like, Tennessee called. They want their town idiot back. Boom! Like flings him away.
Well, that's what I like is Batman, like, he's throwing out one-liners and jokes in this, and it doesn't feel, like, out of place. Like, because sometimes people go, like, oh, they make Batman almost, like, so serious. But it's like, no, I think Batman would still have a little bit of, like, it almost kind of reminds like Frank Miller Batman, where it's just a little bit of a thrown in there. Just enough. Just almost like a little bit of proto-drunk Batman.
Well, there's a little bit of, like, I'll say this. There's a hint of, because what happens at the end is you find spoilers ahead, if you're already spoiled by this. What ends up happening at the end is they get to the mansion, they escape KG Beast and the different Gotham mob bosses, Black Mask, Great White, and Penguin. And they get to the mansion and they find out this serum. It just outweighs, it just makes one personality dominant. So it's a 50-50 shot. It's either going to make it all Face or all Harvey. This weird count. And that's the one thing where I'm just kind of like, Batman's like, I'm not going to take that chance. So what I'm going to do is, and there's also this whole side story on I forget to Gotham about Batman, about Bruce Wayne being Batman.
Mm-hmm.
They there's this whole like side project they have where, or this whole side story, and he has to actually inject him in order before like because there's some kind of acid rain thing. Like I don't remember this is where it gets a little complicated. He had some like drones in the sky. They're gonna rain down chemical rain or something like to that effect.
Yeah, they're gonna turn everybody pretty much into like Two-Face or One-Face or whatever by having acid rain come down on Gotham.
Mm-hmm. And he had X amount of hours before Batman could inject him with the thing. So that was what the ticking clock was. And then Batman injects it, but he alters it and says, look, it's just going to keep, it ejects you, but you're just going to have to fight through it. If Harvey's in there, Harvey's going to have to be dominant. I can't do this fight for you. And it ends on this very kind of like bitter note of where, hey man, I can't do this for you, but maybe there's hope. And he's knocked out. They got to carry him back to Gotham. And that ends on, in like, KG Beast comes in last minute and they, stop him and they get out of there. And then like to give you just some slight bit of hope, slight bit of just kind of after all this sad shit, once you get back to Gotham, you see the criminal like a mansion and there's a knock at the door, like Great White, Black Mask, and Penguin are there. They peek through the door like, oh shit, they run, they see it's the Beast. And then Batman pulls off a mask with a faint smirk like he's coming for him, but he's wanting to fuck with him real quick. So it's kind of like, it's like one of those things like, all right, Batman still has a little bit of fun doing what he does.
And then this whole time, I love how like there's also this other side story where poor Alfred, like, okay, if Batman's having a good time throughout this, somebody who's not is Alfred. Poor Alfred, like, is like literally Commissioner Gordon's like in there, like, Alfred, you fucking butler, tell me how to get down in the fucking Batcave. I know it's here. He's like shining a light down the clock, like, yeah, that's gonna, you're gonna see it through there. I always thought that I was like, okay, that's kind of goofy. And for some reason, I because there's some things in there that's like maybe they are explained, but I only did like one read through, so I felt like why exactly was Commissioner Gordon going after Batman? Like, what was the?
They did something to try and link, like. The whole acid rain thing was kind of made to link as if like Bruce Wayne was involved somehow, or if Batman was involved.
Oh, okay.
So it would force his hand for him to go looking.
Okay.
Like one of those things, like he didn't want to look, but he had a city warrant saying, I have to go in here and check because apparently it's Bruce Wayne's linked to this.
Well, I like is like what they do is like there's this cool thing that I feel like this sort of adds because I've never seen this in another Batman book. But once they finally like, Alfred's not giving up or whatever, and he's just like crying and sad and everything like that. And then like Commissioner Gordon and Bullock finally get inside and they're like, okay, we got we open the clock, we're going down the Batcave, we're gonna get there, and they kind of go down these stairs, and then all of a sudden it like just ends up as like, oh, it's just some rich guy's man cave down here. What the heck is this? Like, and I'm like, well, that's kind of cool. It's like it had a setup that like if it wasn't Batman going through, it would lead him to like a different path, and it would just look like a little man cave to come hide out in or a panic room or something like that. I'm like, that's a cool concept. I like that.
Oh, plus also something I also like about this is Snyder. He'll write things like I don't know how Two Face found out, or if in this version he always knew. Maybe I got to read Detective Comics, or maybe
Well,
they
I don't think
explained
this
it.
book's really linked to like Detective Comics and Batman as much. I mean, it sort of is, but it definitely feels like it's own thing too. So I don't
Mhm.
think you have to read Detective Comics to find out, or even Batman.
Well, I'm just curious how Two Face knows. 'Cause I don't know if they actually said how Two Face knew it's Bruce, because Two Face is the one that tipped him off that Bruce Wayne's involved in this shit. So that's why, like, all right, and like then when Commissioner Gordon was talking to Alfred, without saying it, he's like, I kind of had a hunch he's Batman, but I can never really prove it or know. So whatever it is you have to do, tell him he has to get here now and do something. Otherwise, I have to go in there. Yeah, I like that. He pulls him aside for a moment and just kind of whispers to Alfred, like, I don't want to do this, but I have to. So
Mhm.
whatever it is you have to do, you got to get a hold of him and let him know what's going on. And because I have to go down there.
Yeah,
And
I
then
have to go through the motions because that's what the city wants.
he goes through the motions. He's kind of relieved, like, oh look, it's just a man cave. Kind of like maybe he is Batman, maybe he's not. But look, it's just a fucking man cave. I guess we got to go.
Yeah, it's kind of he almost has that same thing that the Joker has, where it's like he just doesn't. You know what? At the end of the day, I don't need to know.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like it's better that I just know him as Batman.
Well, even in whatchamacallit, in Arkham Knight, he kind of says he always knew he was Batman. He put it
Mhm.
together because without saying like I knew you're Bruce Wayne the whole time before Scarecrow even like pulls off his mask for the whole city to see. He says like there's this one time there's a kid who I helped in after his parents were killed and this and that. Like oh shit, he knew.
Yeah. Well, and it's like I personally myself, I like the Batman stories where Commissioner Gordon just knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman and he's just 100% totally cool with it. Like I actually
Yeah.
like that. Like it seems weird when they have the kind of stories where it's like, okay, here's these guys that are technically kind of like best friends, but like they still keep stuff from each other. Like
It gives credit to him. It gives credit to his character.
yeah, and it's kind of like it's one of those ones. It's the same thing. It's like with like Lois Lane. It's like I like Lois Lane just knowing that Superman and Clark Kent are the same person. It always just seems so goofy unless it's like day one
Mm-hmm.
stories that she doesn't know. It's just I mean, there's certain people that just need to be kind of like in and on the secret. Like another one that always kind of has bothered me. It's like when Spider-Man just doesn't tell Aunt May that like he's Spider-Man. That just seems like one of those ones like you could save a whole lot of hassle if you just like let her know. Because at the end of the day, you'd be like, "Yo, I'm Spider-Man, and I practically can't die anyway, so don't worry, Aunt May."
But Peter, you can't be Batman. What you gonna do, you old bitch?
She's like, I'm gonna turn you in for the fucking reward. That's what I'm gonna do. I hate that Spider-Man fella. Where's Joe Jana Jameson's number right here? Okay, let's.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Like actually like, grabs her and she like falls down the stairs, breaks her neck. Oh fuck! Like, it gets really dark.
Like that's not. He thought he was doing the right thing by letting her know.
And then she has a heart attack right there. You know,
Just like every.
calls Wolverine like he's like calling Wolverine like in the cold shower, hunched over, like I fucked up. I fucked up. Like what'd you do, Peter? What'd you do? I just wanted to tell her I fucked up. It just gets very fucking dark.
So Wolverine has to come over and like help like clean up the body and like.
He's all like, he's just like, what do you got? Like, how are we gonna do this? Like, should we get like, don't worry, I already brought the proper utensils. Snitch! No, it's my aunt. Like, we gotta dispose of her somehow, Pete. You get the bags. I'll take care of the Dyson. You call for my fucking help. This is what you get. I'm the best at what I do. What I do it's not very nice, I know. Just go get me some fucking bags and get some lime.
Yeah, exactly. We gotta get this out of here quickly. Can't let any of the other X-Men know. You know how they are. Goody
grab me a
two-shoes,
beer while
Cyclops will
you're
want to turn you in.
If Scott knew, Scott's a fucking puss. He's such a Boy Scout. He'd tell. Xavier, he can hear my thoughts. He knows what's going on right now, but just one more thing he doesn't want to deal with, so he's going to pretend like he doesn't hear it. I know you hear me, Chuck!
It's okay, we're too far away from Cerebro.
What's he going to do? Walk over here?
Yeah, exactly. What?
It's a long way for an old man to roll.
Yeah, he needs somebody pushing it for him anyways, you know what I mean? Just because it's motorized doesn't mean it works, battery lasts that long.
Yeah, anyway, what the fuck you still doing here? Grab me some bags and a beer.
Yeah.
Gonna cut this old bitch up.
Like, what's this, Aunt May? All you got in here is a wine box? Like, what is she? Well, she is 80. Well, I guess that makes sense.
We'll make do.
He just like stabs the wine box and just like chugs it.
just sucks it right out of the bag. Just
rips the bag out. He's just like sucking it down. But that's one of those ones though. At the end of the day, though, I always think it's so weird. It's like, what? It's like, come on, Spider-Man. Just like, if there's anybody you should tell, it's like you almost gotta tell the people you're living with, or else it just makes it awkward. It's almost like if Alfred didn't know that Batman was Bruce Wayne, like, you know what I mean? Like, that just feels like it would not work.
Imagine the like that would have to be like the level of like 80s sitcom to have be like, oh, I can't let my butler find out. Like, sir, where's your tea? Like, we're strolling in, he's just in bed. Like, sir, are you feeling sick today? Oh yeah, I'm not feeling so good. Like right under the covers, he's still in the bat suit. Like,
yeah, he just has the cowl off.
Yeah. Like, I'll leave the tea right here. Let me change the covers. No, I'm naked under here. Alfred, like, oh, okay.
Well, I've seen that before. Their laugh track.
His laugh track. That's the whole other level to Batman. It would have to be if he had to hide that shit from his butler.
Yeah, that's what I mean, though. It just always seems so odd, like when other characters do that. And I think of it like the Batman one. It's like that's no different than like Spider-Man going like, "Oh, Aunt May can't know that I'm Spider-Man." And he's always like hiding the laundry and making sure he doesn't see it. Like Peter, but it's like, oh well, you don't want to come in here, stinky in here. You know what I mean? Like, oh, okay, Peter.
I just realized the same thing I did with like just Batman right there. Peter's done that like how many times before Aunt May just stumbled in on him when he's all fucked up, which is also that issue was drawn by Jon Romita Jr. as well.
Yeah, exactly. So see, it happens all the time. Well, that actually kind of reminds me back to Judas contract really quickly. There's the scene where Blue Beetle goes to like, he's like, oh, I'm going to go work at like a homeless shelter because I got to feel like I got to do something with my life. And he's in there working, and there's a part where the girl that's running it, he's like starting to have the hots for her, and then the beetle starts flipping out on his back. So he runs in the room. He's like, oh, I think I heard it in here. And he's standing there, and then she runs in, and she's like, she opens the door, and it literally looks like he was fucking jerking off.
I love they actually finally put a jerk off joke in one of these. It was about time. I think what, 10 years? It's long enough. You can put a jerk off joke in there.
Yeah, put Jaime in there fucking doing his jerk off thing.
Jaime's a likable character.
No,
I never read
I like Blue Beetle too a lot. I think he is a cool character.
At first, I was kind of like, I remember like old-timey Blue Beetle. I'm like, oh, fuck Blue Beetle. I'm like, okay, what? This one's a little bit more high-tech, whatever. But then I saw him in Young Justice, and I see him in this. Like, oh, he's actually a great member of the Teen Titans. I like him a lot.
There's a really cool Batman Brave and the Bold episode where it's got both old Blue Beetle teaching like new Blue Beetle like the things. That was a really good episode.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Batman All-Star. We got all lost and sidetracked there. That is a really cool book, and I'm actually really glad I finally sat down and read it. I felt bad for it just sitting there stacking up and like not even getting around to it.
I was down in like there's this really cool comic book store in the Mission Comic. It's a total fluke that I came across this. We're probably even doing this book today because I was down in the Mission and I was going to the Alamo Draft House and I was going to see Colossal, and I had about like 15-20 minutes to kill. I'm just wandering this comic book store like I'm not planning to buy anything. Nothing that I can think of. I could think of things I want, but things I don't need to get. I just saw that, like the last hardcover of All-Star Batman sitting there. I'm like, all right. Here's next week. Here's this week's show. Got it right here.
Got to have that book because it's definitely I think the best Batman book of all the ones out there. Like don't get me wrong, the regular Batman one is really good too, but this is the one where it's like, yeah, it's kind of hard to deny a Scott Snyder Batman book.
It's one of those things. I think Snyder and maybe he's not the new kid on the block because he's been doing it for like at least like 7 years now, maybe. I mean, he was writing a little bit of Batman before New 52. So
yeah, because he has a couple books before that. So and then he's probably close to being on like his 10-year anniversary of maybe not necessarily Batman, but just So he isn't really the new. Now he's more kind of like he's like in his prime, I guess you could say.
I think I have no problem saying this. People may yell blasphemy, but I think he's my favorite Batman writer. I honestly think he was. For a while, it was like Jeff Loeb for Long Halloween. But even though I still like Jeff Loeb a lot for his work on Batman, Snyder's kind of hung in there, and he's been consistently good the whole time.
Well, because here's
the only weird thing is like the Mr. Freeze thing. But everything else I can probably take in.
Yeah, well, let's see. Maybe he'll redeem himself on Batman All-Star like the second part, because that's got Mr. Freeze in there too. And because that's the only weird thing that I remember. It's like I just didn't like his take on Mr. Freeze, how they made Mr. Freeze like a really evil person. Because I always picture Mr. Freeze as just a guy who's actually at heart a really good guy. It's just he does anything for his love, in a sense of Nora, that's like, fuck everybody else if that's gonna get in my way. If it has to be done, it has to be done. Like, I don't like looking at him as like being like, oh, I'm just this horrible evil person that tortures baby animals and things like that. Like, no, that's not Mr. Freeze. Like, I mean, I know, but still. So I don't know. Maybe they'll come back around there. But no, realistically, because here's the thing, Jeff Loeb. I'll say Jeff Loeb probably has like my favorite Batman stories of all time. But that's mostly that's where it kind of ends. Like, there's not really a whole lot. It's not like he wrote Batman for longer than that. It's like, well, that's still a couple of years worth of material. But
he has Long Halloween and Dark Victory, which are 2 books that really got me into Batman. And then he has Hush. So he's got some major trademark shit.
Those are like, you add those 3 books up, I'm like, those are probably my favorite Batman stories of all time. So like by that standard, yeah. But I think but then again, like Scott Snyder, you got like almost like 14 books of Batman by now. So it's like, that's almost even more material.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he has what I think is, people may disagree with this. I think he has the best Joker stories. Alan Moore, I know that Alan Moore did like some amazing Joker stuff, but
that's like 3 issues. I mean, it's a really good story, but it's only like 3 issues at the end of the day. So you kind of.
I think Death of the Family and Endgame are probably 2 of the best Joker stories out there.
Yeah, exactly. I think those are all real good. But this is a good place to wrap it all up with. I was going to say Batman-oriented, but wait a second. Judas Contract didn't need Batman.
It was a DC
It was a very DC, fun time adventures of not only you got Justice League Judas Contract, which is a total must-see, unless for some reason you hate DC. And if you hate DC, I don't know why you're still listening at like the hour and 45-minute mark. And then not only that, you got the All-Star Batman book, so if you didn't get the single issues, whatever, you can go catch up right now with the graphic novel of that. 2 fucking amazing things we got out there that, goddamn it, we should be goddamn grateful for. That's all I gotta say. It's what living America's all about. You get all kinds of Batman, Teen Titans, Nightwing, you get it all.
It's promised when you get off the boats in New York. You get you see the Statue of Liberty, you're handed an issue of Batman.
Novel of Batman, and like, go on, son. Here's one of Superman too.
Welcome to America.
Exactly. Because people get off the boat to, New York all the time nowadays. Like, normally, like, oh, it's going to change my life when I get there.
Wearing, their, Irish, plumber's hat and, their overall. It's like, oh, boy, the Big Apple. Yeah. I made it.
And then having to wait, a month on, the island just to get, put in and everything like that. So you're, Don Corleone sitting there as, a child. But... yeah, good place. So check out oldmanorange.com for more podcasts, cartoons, music, and more. Be sure to check out my book, Pizza Boys, which will actually be on Comixology very soon. So I got accepted to that one, which is pretty neat because I don't think just anything gets put on Comixology. See, Amazon, technically anything can get put on Amazon. They don't give a flying fuck as long as money's coming in. But Comixology has a little bit higher pristine, so I'm like, awesome. That's cool, because I submitted that 2 months ago, and I almost kind of gave up hope on it. I'm like, well, I guess that's not going to work out. And then they're like, yeah, it's all good. We'll get it all set up for you. So, got that going there. I'll put the links up when that finally gets all said and done. So, till then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunigan.
And we will see you some other time.
Later, folks.
Thanks for listening to the Old Man Orange podcast. Check out our website at oldmanorange.com for even more podcasts, cartoons, videos, music, and more. Send us an email at oldmanorangepodcast@yahoo.com. Be sure to subscribe, share, rate, and review us on iTunes, Podomatic, or any of the other fine sites we might be located on. And if you want to help out even more, click on the Amazon or GameStop links on our webpage before you make any purchases there. Won't cost you a penny, but it sends us a little something our way. Thanks for listening, and tune in next week to Old Man Orange.